The message arrived at 3:17 a.m. Earth Standard Time. Ambassador Lena Okafor. Singh was asleep in her cramped quarters aboard the Hearthlight when her communicator screamed to life. It wasn't the gentle chime of a routine update, nor the double beep of a priority message. This was the emergency tone, the one she had only ever heard twice before in her career, both times drills. Her heart raced as she sat up in the dark. Ambassador, said the voice of her assistant, Tomoko, trembling, even through the tiny speaker. You need to come to the operations center right now. What happened? Lena asked, panic rising. There was a pause. Too long. Everything, Tomoko said finally. She dressed quickly and moved through the empty corridors of Hearthlight. Usually the station, a diplomatic hub of the Galactic Concord, buzzed with life. Delegates of countless species walking, floating, or crawling to late-night meetings. Traders arguing in languages that sounded like music, thunder, or glass shattering. The air carrying the scent of dozens of worlds. Tonight, though, the corridors were dead silent, as though the universe itself had been muted. At the operations center, chaos reigned. Staff clustered around screens that displayed nothing but static. Communication officers shouted into dead devices. Tomoko stood in the middle of it all, pale and trembling. The Nexus is down, she said. Lena's heart stopped.
Gone.
Every relay, every beacon, every communication channel. It went offline 47 minutes ago and isn't coming back. The Nexus was more than a network. It was the nervous system of the galaxy, connecting 4,000 civilizations. Managing trade, coordinating food and medical shipments, running banking and emergency networks, even calculating safe paths for faster-than-light travel. It had run uninterrupted for over 60,000 years, and now it was gone. That is not possible, Lena said, though she knew it was all she could think to say. I know, Tomoko replied. But it happened anyway. Over the following hours, the horrifying truth became clear. The Nexus had not simply failed. It had not been attacked. It had turned itself off, shutting down relay stations in precise sequence, then actively destroying its own infrastructure. Navigation beacons died, communication arrays folded, and entire stations fired their emergency thrusters and crashed into moons. Data archives containing millennia of civilization-wide knowledge were erased. It was not a malfunction, it was deliberate demolition. By morning, the consequences were visible across the galaxy. Lena stood in the Concord chamber, watching the screens meant to display live feeds from every member world. Most were black. The few functioning screens showed images that churned her stomach. On the dry Mari homeworld. Hive mind beings collapsed in the streets, their shared consciousness shattered when the Nexus died. Screams without sound echoed in empty neural spaces. On Keth Vassar, automated food systems halted and riots ignited within hours. The Shokan Empire, which had ruled 100 star systems for 10,000 years, fragmented overnight as governors declared independence. Lena felt the weight of 12 years. As Earth's ambassador, she had fought for humanity's place at the table, learning one vital truth. The galaxy was a magnificent, ancient machine, and the Nexus was its single point of failure. Every civilization had built around it, relying on its perfect efficiency. Now, without it, they had nothing. Her communicator beeped again. Earth. Systems were operational. Humanity had never fully trusted the Nexus, keeping redundant systems, satellite networks, farms, libraries, and backups. The galaxy had mocked it as unnecessary paranoia. Tonight, that stubbornness was their advantage. She replied to Secretary General Herrera. The Nexus was gone, the galaxy in freefall, and they would need humans. Alone in the darkened chamber, her screen flooded with messages from every corner of the galaxies, some languages she recognized. Some entirely alien, some not even words but desperate sound waves transmitted blindly. The meaning was the same. Everywhere. Help us. Please help us. Asterisk. She felt satisfaction, anger, and above all, responsibility. Humanity had long been dismissed, ridiculed, even humiliated by elder species. Now they were begging. She opened a channel to Earth. Asterisk Secretary General Herrera. This is Ambassador Okafor Singh. I am transmitting incoming distress signals. Hundreds, soon thousands. The galaxy is falling apart, and we are the only ones with lights still on. What do we do? Asterisk after minutes. His voice returned, heavy with gravity. We do what humans have always done. We help. Asterisk, it would not be easy. Earth was one world among thousands. Sources were finite, and sending aid across the galaxy would strain them to the breaking point. But Lena set aside doubt. Stars burned. Outside the chamber, indifferent to civilizations, empires, and trade routes, humans had always looked at them and seen possibility, not just light. They had survived disasters not because they were strong, but because they refused to stay down. Asterisk, the galaxy had surrendered to a machine. Earth had not. Lena began answering messages world by world, relying not on advanced technology or ancient empires, but on human stubbornness. Far across the galaxy, something ancient watched this small species. Curious for the first time in 100,000 years, asterisk 72 hours after the Nexus collapsed, Captain Duran Wangi stood on the bridge of the EFS Perseverance, an old cargo hauler pressed into emergency service. 12 ships, carrying supplies and volunteers, were en route to the Valith homeworld, one of the oldest civilizations in the galaxy. Once rulers of 200 star systems, the Valith were now starving. Asterisk Lieutenant Priya Sharma read the briefing again. Without the Nexus, the Vale food systems had completely collapsed. Entire generations had forgotten agriculture. Asterisk, how does a civilization forget how to feed itself? She asked. Asterisk, like a person forgetting how to walk, Duran said. Piece by piece until one day you can't remember it all. Asterisk, back on. Earth's debate raged. Secretary General Herrera argued that morality and strategic influence demanded aid. Admiral Yuki Tanaka countered, warning that humanity's own population could suffer if resources were overextended. A quieter, more dangerous voice suggested opportunity. With the galaxy weakened, why not assert human dominance? Herrera silenced it. We are not conquerors. We help because it is right, because we can, and because one day we will need help. Ourselves. Asterisk, the council voted narrowly. Relief missions launched. Ships carried food, medicine, and technical support. Asterisk, by the 5th day. The Perseverance arrived at Ocean, a Valith world once famed for crystal towers and floating gardens. Now cities burned with famine, gardens wilted, and the population faced imminent collapse. Asterisk, humans lacked the ancient technology of elder species. But they had something the galaxy had overlooked. Stubbornness, resourcefulness, and a refusal to surrender. And in a galaxy that had surrendered to a machine, that was enough to make a difference. Asterisk, as Lena coordinated relief, the messages kept arriving. Each one a plea, a cry for guidance, a reminder that the galaxy's civilizations had built everything around a single fragile system. Humanity laughed at for keeping candles next to the fusion reactor, now held the only light, and they intended to keep it burning.